Okay, so King Charles just delivered one of the most personal and significant health updates a British monarch has ever given, and what he revealed is both medically encouraging and constitutionally profound. In a rare televised message, the 77-year-old king announced that his cancer treatment will be scaled back in the new year, crediting early diagnosis and effective intervention for his improved condition. And this isn't just a feel-good story about a cancer patient doing well. This is about a sitting monarch breaking centuries of royal secrecy to use his own illness as a platform for public health advocacy, and about what happens when institutional power meets personal vulnerability in ways the British monarchy has never before permitted. Now, let's be honest for a moment. Mainstream coverage often focuses on headlines but skips the context, incentives and power dynamics behind the scenes. That's why this channel exists, to break down what actually matters, based on public reporting, institutional rules, and how power really works. If you want to stay ahead of these stories, make sure you're subscribed. We bring context, not spin. Alright, let's get back to what just happened. Here's what actually happened. On Friday, December 13th, 2025, King Charles delivered a pre-recorded video message that aired during Channel 4's Stand Up to Cancer campaign, a joint initiative between the broadcaster and Cancer Research UK. In the message, which was filmed in late November at Clarence House, his London residence, Charles stated, "Today, I am able to share with you the good news that thanks to early diagnosis, effective intervention and adherence to doctors' orders, my own schedule of cancer treatment can be reduced in the new year. This milestone is both a personal blessing and a testimony to the remarkable advances that have been made in cancer care in recent years." A Buckingham Palace spokesperson told CNN and other outlets that King Charles has responded exceptionally well to treatment and that his doctors advise that ongoing measures will now move into a precautionary phase. The spokesperson added that this position will be continuously monitored and reviewed to protect and prioritise his continued recovery. Critically, Buckingham Palace did not say whether Charles's cancer is in remission, and the palace has never disclosed what type of cancer the king has or what kind of treatment he is receiving, beyond ruling out prostate cancer. The cancer was discovered in February 2024, after Charles underwent a procedure for a benign enlarged prostate. During that hospitalisation at London Clinic, doctors noted a separate issue of concern, and subsequent diagnostic tests identified a form of cancer. Charles entered the hospital on January 26, 2024, for the prostate procedure and was discharged on January 29th. The cancer diagnosis was announced publicly on February 5, 2024. At that time, Buckingham Palace stated that Charles had commenced a schedule of regular treatments and that he had been advised by doctors to postpone public-facing duties. Now, here's where this gets bigger than it looks. King Charles's decision to publicly discuss his cancer diagnosis represents a complete departure from centuries of British royal protocol regarding health. The British monarchy has traditionally treated royal health as an intensely private matter, sharing minimal details with the public. Queen Elizabeth II, Charles's mother who died in 2022, avoided overseas travel during her last years on the throne because of advancing age and health scares, but she never discussed those health issues publicly in any detail. The institutional approach was that the monarch's health was personal, and public disclosure would undermine the dignity and mystique of the crown. Charles has shattered that precedent. He announced his diagnosis. He resumed public engagements just 2 months later, in April 2024, visiting the University College Hospital Macmillan Cancer Centre in London, where he met with patients and clinicians. He shared stories with fellow cancer patients, telling one patient receiving chemotherapy, "It's always a bit of a shock, isn't it, when they tell you?" He has made cancer awareness a fundamental part of his public-facing work throughout his treatment. He became the new patron of Cancer Research UK and has been patron of Macmillan Cancer Support for almost 3 decades. This is not just about one person. This is about a constitutional monarch using the authority and visibility of the crown to drive public health behaviour at a population level. Charles stated in his Friday message that he has learned something that troubles me deeply. At least 9 million people in our country are not up to date with the cancer screenings available to them. That is, at least 9 million opportunities for early diagnosis being missed. So, let's break down what this really means. The statistics Charles cited are stark and unambiguous. For bowel cancer caught at the earliest stage, approximately 9 in 10 people survive for at least 5 years, according to the UK's National Cancer Intelligence Network. When diagnosed late, that survival rate falls to just 1 in 10. Early diagnosis quite simply saves lives, Charles said. I know too what a difference it has made in my own case, enabling me to continue leading a full and active life even while undergoing treatment. Charles has indeed led a remarkably full and active life during his treatment. He resumed public duties in April 2024, just 2 months after his diagnosis was announced. He hosted President Donald Trump on Trump's second state visit to the UK in September 2024. He embarked on multiple overseas trips within Europe, marking Holocaust Memorial Day at Auschwitz-Birkenau in January 2025, and praying with Pope Leo XIV at the Vatican in October 2025. According to the palace spokesperson, the king has taken great comfort and encouragement from being able to continue leading a full and active life throughout his treatment while always heeding the advice of his medical team. And this is where the stakes become very real. British cancer charities have reported that the number of people seeking information about cancer jumped significantly after King Charles revealed he was undergoing treatment. Caroline Garachty, senior information nurse at Cancer Research UK, told CNN that both Charles and his daughter-in-law Catherine, Princess of Wales, who announced her own cancer diagnosis 6 weeks after Charles, have been instrumental in raising awareness. He's visited hospitals, he's seen patients, he's visited support centres. He really has kept in touch with people, Garachty said. I think he feels, and as do other people, that he's got something in common with them. This phenomenon, where public figures' health disclosures drive increases in health-seeking behaviour, is well documented in public health research. When celebrities or prominent figures announce cancer diagnoses, screening rates spike. When they discuss treatment openly, it reduces stigma and fear. Charles is using his platform as monarch to achieve exactly this public health objective, and early indications suggest it's working. Now here's the part no one is talking about. The decision not to disclose the specific type of cancer Charles has, or the treatment he is receiving, is itself strategic. A palace spokesperson explained to CNN that the advice from cancer experts is that, in his determination to support the whole cancer community, it is preferable that His Majesty does not address his own specific condition, but rather speaks to those affected by all forms of the disease. This is sophisticated public health messaging. If Charles disclosed that he has, for example, lung cancer, or colon cancer, or lymphoma, his message would resonate most strongly with people who have or fear that specific cancer. By keeping the diagnosis vague, he can speak to everyone affected by cancer, regardless of type. His message becomes universal rather than particular. This maximizes the public health impact of his disclosure. But this vagueness also serves an institutional purpose. The British monarchy depends on mystique and dignity. Full disclosure of medical details, treatment regimens, side effects, and prognosis would humanize Charles to a degree that might undermine the symbolic function of the crown. By disclosing enough to drive public health benefits while retaining some privacy, Charles threads a delicate needle between modern transparency and traditional royal reserve. This changes the balance of power in how the British public relates to the monarchy. For centuries, the crown maintained distance through secrecy and formality. Subjects were meant to revere the monarch, not identify with them as fellow humans facing mortality and illness. Charles's approach invites identification while preserving some institutional distance. He's saying, I'm like you, I face cancer, like you do, but I'm still the king. Let's zoom out and look at the institutional context here, because what Charles is doing has implications for the future of constitutional monarchy. The British monarchy has been struggling for decades with the question of how to remain relevant in a democratic, egalitarian age. The traditional model of distant formal monarchy doesn't resonate with modern publics who expect authenticity and accessibility. But total accessibility undermines the special status that justifies the monarchy's existence. Charles's mother, Queen Elizabeth II, handled this tension by being personally reserved while being institutionally visible. She performed her duties with dedication and consistency, but she almost never discussed her personal feelings, health, or private life. This worked for her generation, but younger Britons increasingly questioned what purpose the monarchy serves, if it's just ceremonial pageantry, performed by emotional control to amplify content that serves his political agenda. This is the fundamental asymmetry. Democratic governments are constrained by law and accountable to voters, while tech billionaires operate globally, answer to no electorate, and can shape public discourse at will. Starmer's relationship with Musk contrasts sharply with that of his predecessor, Rishi Sunak. Sunak interviewed Musk for a live-streamed conversation during Downing Street's AI Safety Summit in November 2023. The two appeared cordial, but Starmer, representing the left-wing Labour Party, has taken a much harder line on content moderation and online safety, and Musk, who has taken a hard right turn into conservative politics in recent years, appears to view Starmer's government as an adversary. So, here's the bottom line. Elon Musk declared that civil war is inevitable in the UK during a week of far-right riots, fueled by misinformation spread on his platform. What changed is that a tech billionaire with no democratic mandate openly used his platform to inflame violence and undermine a democratically elected government. UK officials condemned Musk's remarks and vowed to prosecute online incitement, but Musk faces no personal legal consequences because he's outside UK jurisdiction. What's still uncertain is whether the UK government can effectively regulate platforms like X to prevent the spread of violent incitement while respecting legitimate free speech. It's also uncertain whether other democratic countries will face similar challenges, as Musk continues to use X as a political weapon. What could happen is that the UK strengthens its Online Safety Act and imposes significant penalties on X for failing to remove illegal content, potentially even blocking the platform entirely if it refuses to comply. Alternatively, Musk could continue his attacks on the Starmer government with impunity, emboldening far-right movements and undermining public confidence in democratic institutions. Why this matters institutionally is that it demonstrates how concentrated private control over communication infrastructure threatens democratic governance. When one individual can reach hundreds of millions of people instantly, amplify misinformation, and incite violence without accountability, it creates a power asymmetry that democratic institutions were never designed to handle. This story is far from over. Keep your eyes on how the UK government responds to platform regulation and whether other countries follow suit. The battle over who controls public discourse in the digital age is just beginning.